Hello guys, welcome back to the Beastie Room. Now we're going to have a rehouse today, and this is of a spider. Actually, there's a little group of them. It's the Ornithoctoninai Mindanao South. Now we have a number of these. We have the South, we have the Oriental. I think we've got another one as well, haven't we? The Mindanao Giant, I think it is, isn't it? Yes, so today what we're going to do, we're going to start, we've had them in these small pots and they've been in these temporarily from when they came in, and what we found out is there's very little information about these guys, very little at all. They're an Asian spider, many of them from the Philippines, and it seems to be that in their juvenile stages, which these are pretty much still juvies, they like to burrow quite a bit, but they are in actual fact more of an arboreal spider. So many of the arboreal spiders that we see often start lives out in burrows. They burrow down, and a lot of this is for protection from the elements and from predators and things like that. So it's not until they start getting a little bit of size about them that they venture out, and then they start taking on that arboreal lifestyle. So we've actually got this one in here. You can't see it at the moment because it is burrowed down. So we will dig it out, and hopefully what we're going to do is we're going to set this enclosure up here, just a basic enclosure, and we're just going to see, we're going to give it the option. So we're going to put enough substrate in here for this guy to be able to disappear and burrow down if needs be, but then we're also going to put in some cork bark so that it can actually web up behind, and we're going to see which it prefers to do. I got a feeling it's probably going to end up behind the cork bark. Fingers crossed, that's what we're hoping. So these should make a really nice addition to the Beastie Room. And as you know, we do like our arboreal spiders. I've always preferred the arboreal spiders to the terrestrial ones, and I think much of it is because we can really play around with their enclosures. So you can have a lot of fun designing different enclosures and things like that with the arboreal stuff. And I don't know what it is, but I think maybe lack of imagination. I think for me, much of it is lack of imagination when it comes to terrestrial things, because if you go on YouTube and you look at Facebook and bits and pieces, some people do some absolutely amazing terrestrial enclosures, really cool, using different grasses and bits and pieces like that. So I think that is something that we will definitely going to be venturing into when we get sorted out, because it is something that we have definitely lacked. Right, hopefully you're going to have to bear with me for a moment because I am not a contortionist. Right.
Just put the door open, stops our reflection, Dave.
Well, it's open. Yeah, you can see in there, can't you? She's giving me directions by air. She's like, I can't do it. I need to be able to see. Right. So what we're going to do, we are just going to add a couple of bits in here. Like so. We could have done with some fresh moss, but we got an old bit of moss that might just about do us. Quite often with the moss it can look a little bit dull and dry, and once we get it back hydrated and under the lights, it quite often picks up and starts showing decent colour again. Right, so I think that's actually going to do us. That's all we're going to need in there. And then what we're going to do now, I'm going to swing it round so you're going to get plenty of reflection, and then we're going to put our water bowl in. So we've got our hot glue gun here, and this has been, as you can see, cooking away. Try not to glue myself to it this time. It's always a bit of a risk. What I'm going to do, I'm going to put that on there like that. Actually put it there. There we go. So that is there like that. So we've got a bit of moss here. It's not the best looking moss. In fact, it actually looks worse since I sprayed it than it did when it was dry. But there is a little bit of life left in this. It's not the usual glorious green stuff that we normally find. I say we've run out. But this stuff, basically, what had happened with this is it had dried out and died off a little bit. But what we're going to do, we're going to try it. We're going to put it in because, like I say, quite often this stuff will come back. I don't think we'll bother with that bit. If it doesn't, then what we will do over the next few days, we will go out and get a bit more. We're a little bit short on moss, so we're going to give this another soaking. Now these guys coming from Asia, they do like a decent amount of humidity, but again, like all the others, they don't like it absolutely wet. Now although this front piece here is wet, back behind here, if I spin that around, you will see this is actually quite dry. It's got the very, very faintest of moisture in it, and we can tell that by the colour of it. If this was to be damp or wet, it would go very, very dark. So right, so we're going to put that in there like that. Do you know what? I'm still feeling like I want another piece of bark in here.
It's only little.
Oh, I know. I'm just thinking it would be nice if we had somewhere to climb. Luckily we've got lots and lots of bark to choose from. Oh, look at that. Does me break it off a bit on the small side. Alright. We'll put that in there like that. Just to give another aspect. Give it something more to climb around. We'll see what happens. Right then. Let's have a little look at this spider. Now these really are a very, very pretty spider. And they can be quite expensive as slings. And like I say, there isn't a huge amount of them around. We do see them from time to time, but they're quite new to the hobby. I think it's only been a year or two. So what we're going to do, I'll turn this here a little bit. We are going to try and get this one to pop out the front here. And as you can see, it's already ready to go. What we don't want, they are quite a nervous spider. And I'm hoping you're going to get a decent look at it. Here we go. Oh, and it's gone. Well, that was a little bit, did you catch that?
That was a bit of an anticlimax. You need to get him out.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm sure we can do that.
Where's he gone?
He's here.
Oh, he's got his head in the sand.
Alright. What we will do, actual fact, I think we'll close the front door. Because looking at the way this guy went, if you stay here, we can...
Got a reflection. Ooh.
Right, here he is.
Shame you shut the door.
Well, you wouldn't have seen him anyway. Can you see there?
No, babe.
If you come square, square to the glass.
All they're getting is me. Come and help me. Come and help me.
Got the wrong outfit on as normal. Right.
You got him?
Yeah, there he is.
Shame you can't see how beautiful it is.
Now, it is in actual fact a very, very pretty spider. And then what we're going to do...
Got beautiful abdomen.
Yeah. If you just move that around, you can see how you can lose the shadow in. Keep it bright.
Keep it bright.
Alright, so what we'll do, we'll try. You can see how it just wants to hide away. So what we're going to do, we're going to just gently try and see if we can't tease it out. Camera lady keeps still. There we go. And then what we can do...
Your top actually gives it a... stops
There
the
you go.
reflection.
There we go. Now we can see it a little bit in its glory. Look at that. What a wonderful looking spider. If you take this.
Yep.
Sorry for this, guys. That's it. Keep it still. Right. Now, as you can see there, because of the light, and you can see them gold rings on the legs. They look really nice. You can hear our male spiders going at it now. Everyone's waking up. Look at that. They've got a nice gold carapace. Now these guys, this one here is only around about 3 inches, and it should double in size, get much, much bigger, and should, in theory, end up becoming a very, very respectable, good-sized arboreal spider. Now, with all the Asian spiders, we have to be very, very careful in terms of how we deal with them, because they are all very quick to defend. If I can come down here. There we go. Oh, perfect. There we go. You can see that abdomen now. The rings on the legs. Very, very pretty. It's very difficult to actually get this one.
You made him run away.
There. There we go. It actually looks a little bit blue on the camera. And it is, to in all intents and purposes, quite a bluish looking spider.
It's the yellow bands in it that...
Yeah. And you can see there that it's acting more and more like a fossorial spider by the way it's behaving, the way it's hunkering down and things like that. So you can see there that it's very much still quite a defensive spider. Now, what we have to be careful of now is obviously with these, if you have one of these yourself, just be aware that they are very, very fast. And as you saw there, when it left the box, they are quite skittish. Now, we've seen no threat display. Even when we physically tried to move it, we saw no threat display. All it wants to do is hunker down and go unseen. It just wants to disappear into the environment. So we need to treat these very, very similar to what we would, I think, things like our Sabar blues, our Singapore blues, all of those types of big arboreal spiders treat these exactly the same. In terms of humidity and what have you, again, we're looking up in the sort of high 70s in humidity. Heating wise, these guys will like it warm. So the warmer we keep them, the better. They're going to end up molting out and feeding everything much more on cue if we keep them a bit on the warm side. If they're kept cooler, then we obviously slow everything right the way down. So keep them on the warm side and they'll do really well. Now this particular spider, this is looking at just getting on for about 3 inches, if that, and this will take on full-size crickets and red runners, no problem at all. They're quite an aggressive feeder. This one has got a particular liking for crickets. Now when we come to feeding it now in this setup, we often hear about people worrying that they've thrown a cricket in, it's disappeared, and the spider didn't get it, and they're worried now because it's going to be in there. If you feed appropriate sized food, so like for this one, this would be looking at somewhere in the region of a large medium size sort of cricket. If you put them in there, it's not going to give it too much hassle. At this size, even if it was to be molting out, at this size it would make a lovely web cocoon in which to hide and molt, and that is what protects it. It's only a worry when they're molting, when they're very small slings, and people put crickets in that are half the size of their sling, because slings do not make that web protection in which to molt. They literally put a little bit on the floor, flip over and get on with it. So they do it pretty quick, but it still takes them a little bit of time to harden up. And if they're in a small pill pot or anything like that, that cricket has got more than enough time to cause serious damage to the spider. So always feed things a little bit on the smaller side if you're at all worried, and this will also give a bit of protection to your spider as well. Now what we will do here is, this one here will not be offered food now at all until it sort of sets up home. This might take a day. We might come back in here tomorrow morning and it will all be webbed up and she'll be hiding away, or she might just still be sitting in the same spot in the morning, and it might take a few days for her to settle down and get on and do the job. It's not uncommon for spiders to actually take a week, 2 weeks to actually feel comfortable enough to actually set up and start webbing up. So don't be in too much of a rush or a panic if your spider has not done it immediately. Not all of them do. Some are quick, some are very, very slow, very shy. So we just got to give them a bit of time. In the time that they are not setting up home, I wouldn't advise feeding. I would lay off the feeding for at least a week. Give them a good week to settle in, because if they're already feeling a little intimidated with the new enclosure, having something keep bumping into them, even though it's food, is not going to help matters. If anything, it's going to make our spider withdraw even more. So don't offer it food until it is fully established and happy in its environment. Now, as you saw there, hopefully you saw there, when it made that fleeting dash from the box to the back of the enclosure, you would have seen it had a lovely fat abdomen. So this one we have no need to worry about. This will go a week or more with no food at all, be perfectly fine. So as long as it's got fresh water, make sure there's always water in there, that will do the job. Right, well hopefully she will settle in and we will see a bit more of her. She's such a pretty spider, it's a shame she's so shy. We will try and get a bit of footage later on, and hopefully the plan will be to actually be able to tongue feed her like we do many of the others. Once they get full, get big and they get established, most of them will come out and tongue feed, and we will try and do the same with these. I say we have got some of the Mindanao Orientals, so we will rehouse those as well, and maybe, just maybe, if we're lucky, we'll get a better view of one of them than we did this one. It's a shame she was so fast. Right, well, I hope you enjoyed that rather shaky glimpse of our Mindanao South. I thought it was an Oriental for a minute. Mindanao South. Right then, don't forget, be calm, be gentle, and love your spider. And I'll see you soon, guys.